Hey there, my name is Rachel Snyder, and I am the local show choir coach of South Middle School. And I just wanted to give you all a personal testimony of Rousawn Dozier and his West by God company that he's working with and that he started. I've had the opportunity to have Rousawn come into my classroom twice now. Outside of school, it was always the night before a big competition. So 2 years ago, he came in and spoke to my group, and I had reached out to him because I saw some of his videos online, and I thought, oh my goodness, his thought process is exactly where mine is. He was all about a winning mentality. He was all about success principles. He was passionate, when he spoke. So I'm a firm believer in sometimes you have to bring in outside people to speak life into your team because they're going to be sick of you after a while. You are not the be-all, end-all. So I invited Rousawn in because my group is a middle school group, and we were going into battle up against our first high school competition. And our goal was to make finals. So you perform during the day, and then they take the top 6 groups and they move them on, and those ones get to perform at finals. So our goal was to make finals as a middle school, as the only middle school in the competition. And so Rousawn came in, and he spoke to them about, going into battle. We're so used to going and competing against all these people. We've been the middle school state champions, but now we're going up against high schools. It's a completely different battlefield. And he really inspired my kids. But he talked about the different ways that you become a champion in different arenas. And I'll never forget this. I personally, was struggling a little bit with the fact that I'm kind of gung-ho with my group, and it had been talked about among other people in the area that sometimes, Mrs. Snyder's too over the top, and sometimes she's too driven, and all she cares about is her show choir, and she's trying to make it like a high school, and she needs to back down, and these things have been said about me, and it can sting a little bit. Thank God I've become a little bit more stable in my 30s, but it can still sting. And Rousawn said this quote, and so I'm grateful that he came in, because not only did he affect my group, but he affected me. And he said, if you're not obsessed with your craft, you will always remain average. And that just hit me, and I was like, oh, yes, yeah, that's like what I needed to hear, because I don't want to be average, Well, let me just tell you, the next day we performed, we went into finals, and we took 3rd place. 3rd place out of high schools. We took 3rd. We were on fire, and I was just so excited, and I've held that quote with me ever since. This year, we went up against an undefeated high school, or undefeated middle school since 2009. I brought in Rousawn again the night before that one. I was like, here's a new one. We got a big deal coming tomorrow. I was worried my kids, they were doubting a little bit. I was worried they were hearing doubt from other places. So he came in, and again, he spoke exactly what they needed to hear. Now, part of that is because he reached out to me and said, what do your kids need to hear? So I think that's really smart when speakers do that, and they don't just come in and shoot from the hip. But he came in prepared, and he came in prepared with something that was relevant to what my group needed. So I really appreciated that, that he took the time to do that. And again, he spoke belief into them, and where my kids and myself might have had a little bit of doubt before we went in, no doubt whatsoever. Now, I will tell you, we did not win that competition, but we took this caption award called the Best Vocals. We were the best sounding group there, and that school has never lost the Best Vocals caption since 2009. So that was kind of cool that we were like, hey, what's up? So he had talked about in the movie Troy, the quote, that's why no one will remember your name. And when we left there that night, everyone said, you know what, Mrs. Snyder, that school's going to remember our name. And it was just really cool. So I really appreciate Rousawn Dozier. I'm going to have him come in year after year as long as I'm the director there to speak life into my group, because it's been awesome. And if you're considering him at all, there's really nothing more to think about. Bring him in.